thing in order here.
So when you're ready, you could let me know. Oh, you started sharing. Beautiful. All right.
All right. Nice. Can everybody hear me?
Let me just check the chat. I can hear you, Melissa.
All
Can
right.
anyone else share? If they're hearing, you just put something in the chat, or you could quickly turn on your mic and indicate.
We can hear you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, and good evening to everyone. This evening we'll be discussing fibroid awareness, as Corrice mentioned, and I'll be discussing a journey toward healing from the inside out. So just moving forward, just a second here. All right. So my name is Melissa Agbeka Walker, and I wear many hats. I am a certified functional nutrition counselor. I'm a certified health and wellness coach. I'm also a certified trichologist. What you don't see on the screen is that I am also a yoni steam practitioner. I'm a gut health specialist. I'm a food scientist. And two of my most important jobs are that of wife and mother of my two amazing children. So first of all, what are fibroids? So uterine fibroids are basically non-cancerous growths of the uterus, and they can vary in size, number, and location. Now, many times they are non-cancerous. However, there is the rare occasion where they can become cancerous, but that is a very, very small chance, and that chance is 1 in 1,000. Right? They often appear during the reproductive years. So when we're thinking of having children, and up to 70 to 80% of women actually develop fibroids by the age of 50. Now, what is more alarming is that it is more prevalent in Black women. So 80 to 90% of us are more likely to develop fibroids in our lifetimes. So how do they form in the first place? All right. So we have, just a second here. So what types of fibroids do we have? We have different types of fibroids. So we have pedunculated fibroids. Those fibroids are attached by a stalk or stem, if you could see the picture on the screen there. We also have subserosal fibroids, which grow on the outer surface of the uterus. We also have submucosal fibroids. So if you look on the picture there, closer on the endometrium part, those are submucosal, which occur within the lining or within the endometrium. And these ones, they potentially cause heavy bleeding or prolonged menstrual bleeding. They also cause pelvic pain and fertility issues. So if we know about conception, after you have conceived and it's time for the embryo to implant within the wall or within the endometrium, if we have these types of fibroids present, especially the submucosal fibroids, then you can see that there can be a challenge with implantation, and that could make becoming pregnant difficult, right? We also have intramural fibroids, and these actually develop within the muscular wall or the myometrium, right? So sometimes if you lie down and you palpate or you feel your tummy area, depending on the size of the fibroid, you can actually feel it or you can see it protruding. All right, so they vary in their sizes, the locations. You can see they're very varied, and they can cause all these issues that we see represented on the screen. All right, so sometimes we can have fibroids as small as a seed, 1 centimeter in size, and they can get up to about the size of a cherry. Those are classified as small fibroids, right? So something that is less likely to cause any issues. Then we have medium fibroids. They can be as range from in size, the size of a plum to the size of an orange. They're a little larger. And then we have the large ones, and some of them can get to as large as a watermelon. And this is very, very frightening because you can see that it is larger. A watermelon could be larger or as large as the size of a small child. So I think it's very, very important for us to get checked and ensure that if we're looking at our fertility long term, or if we're thinking of conceiving, then we look at these things very seriously. All right, so how do fibroids form? So fibroids can form from many different things. So if we look, the first picture is actually hormonal imbalance. So we heard of estrogen dominance. So that is when we have estrogen outweighing progesterone, right? So we also have an imbalance where vitamin D3 is concerned. So when we have that hormonal imbalance, and vitamin D3 is actually a hormone as well, when we have that hormonal imbalance, it can cause issues. All right. We also have nutritional deficiencies. So we spoke about vitamin D3. It's also a vitamin, right? These nutritional deficiencies can also cause fibroid development. Inflammation and poor detox. So inflammation is a major underlying cause. So what we want to do actually is to decrease inflammatory components in the body. One major source is visceral fat. So if you're looking at fat around your midsection, that can be an issue, right? We also want to address our diet and nutrition and proper hydration as well, right? Poor detox comes in when our organs of detox, our skin, our lungs, our liver, our colon aren't functioning optimally. So we aren't getting rid of these extra estrogens, right? So then they start recirculating and then we have issues. All right, so inflammation and poor detox would cause the formation of fibroids. Impaired gut and liver overload. I always like to say that the gut is the central part. That is where our health resides. It influences every other major system in the body, right? So if our gut is not functioning optimally, it affects everything, and by extension, fertility, right? So if we're looking at stress now, chronic stress and trauma, and we know that as a community, we have gone through a lot. So I would say that in terms of chronic stress and trauma, there's actually a 34% chance that women who experience adverse childhood experiences like sexual abuse actually
I would be able to join.
So they actually develop fibroids. So 34% chance that women who experience childhood sexual abuse develop fibroids. There's also a 16% chance of their development when physical abuse is involved. So we see how traumas get stored in the body, right? So stress actually is the #1 factor in patients with fibroids and who have had adverse childhood experiences. So what happens is that these stressors actually linger in the body until adulthood. And if they aren't dealt with, then they can cause unknown signs, symptoms, and diagnoses. So it is important to deal with whatever stresses and traumas would have potentially caused their formation. And I'm not too sure if anybody knows this, but a top contributor, and studies have been done, a top contributor to the growth of fibroids is the use of relaxers. And this starts for many of us in childhood and it continues throughout our adult lives, right? So some research suggests that there's a potential link between relaxer usage and the increased risk of uterine fibroids. So basically the chemicals that are found in relaxers, they're actually believed to be hormone disruptors, right? And that contributes to the toxic load that our bodies already have to deal with, right? So that's an issue and something to look at a little more closely. All right, so how do you know if you potentially have fibroids? So when your period comes, you have excessive bleeding, you realize that you're very weak, you're having a lot of blood loss. A lot of blood loss can lead to anemia. Where constipation is concerned, Sometimes because of the location of the fibroid as well as the size of the fibroid, it can rest on your bowel and cause issues. Pelvic pain just because of the location, frequent urination or bladder is in that general area as well. So if you have large fibroids resting on the bladder, then there would be the urgency to go more to the bathroom. You'll be going frequently to the washroom, right? Infertility, and this goes without saying. I did mention the type of fibroid, the submucosal one, which implants itself within the endometrium, which is the same site for the implantation of the embryo. So if you have several of those types of fibroids, then you can have an issue in getting pregnant because implantation would be difficult. There'll be basically competition for space, right? We know with excess bleeding that there is a lot of fatigue. If you're losing a lot of iron, right? So low ferritin and low iron, that's your storage form of iron, you will feel tired, right? So many women, when their periods come along, and they have fibroids, they are tired. A lot of the times they are down for a few days. And this is because many fibroids have a lovely supply of blood. So they are well nourished during the cycle. They are well nourished because they have the blood vessels flowing to them and feeding them, and that's causing them to grow. All right, we spoke about hormonal imbalance, right? And when we do have hormonal imbalances, we know that we will have the growth of fibroids. Another clue that we have a hormonal imbalance is sometimes when we have a high tummy. Many women say they have a high tummy, they don't know, they do lots of exercises, it's not going down. What is happening? It could be because of a hormonal imbalance, right? Weight gain, stubborn weight, right? Many of us, we've tried all the different diets that are out there. We've tried to exercise, we've done everything, but the weight just sticks, right? We know also, depending on when we are in our cycle, we have mood swings. Don't talk to me, I'm in a mood, leave me alone, or it could be the opposite as well, right? And all of these things, we know what PMS is, premenstrual syndrome, right? So that imbalance, we're seeing that estrogen outweighs the progesterone, even if it is low, right? And that is what estrogen dominance is, right? So we see the same symptoms here popping up again. And some of the causes of this estrogen dominance is because of toxins in our everyday lives. And some of those toxins include xenoestrogens. So these xenoestrogens are basically estrogen mimickers, and they are found in so many of our daily products that we use. For example, sunscreen. Sunscreen has xenoestrogens. The detergent, our laundry detergent, we love having our clothes smell beautiful, right? So we would sometimes put excess laundry detergent if it's not, if you don't rinse them out properly, you have that residual laundry detergent in the clothes, right? We wear the clothes and our skin, again, is a detox organ. We are absorbing things through it, right? Many of the perfumes that we wear, they have xenoestrogens present. The cosmetics, including some of our deodorants, some of our cleaning supplies, birth control, and even artificial food dyes, right? So these are everywhere. And I must mention plastic, from the plastic bottles that we get our water in. So we are all exposed. We are all exposed, and our job is to minimize our exposure to these environmental toxins, right? So if we can actually detox by using glass instead of plastic, stainless steel, right? Even in our environment as well, if we think of something as simple as our floor tiles, we have these low VOC floor tiles that are newer. They're different from the regular tiles that we would have use traditionally, but that smell that you get from the traditional, what do you call it, linoleum, that smell is the smell of volatile organic compounds in the air, right? So these two are a source of xenoestrogens. So we want to detox these products from our environments, right? So if you're looking at the creams or the sunscreens that we're using, we want to use a healthy alternative. Read your ingredient labels on your laundry detergent. If you can buy a water filter for bottled water or for water for pipes, or reduce the use of bottled water. We know we love perfumes. How can we smell good still without overburdening our systems? All right, so all of these things would help to detox these excess estrogen mimickers from our daily lives, right? We also want to support our liver. Our liver is also a major detox organ. So we want to eat bitter greens and use castor oil packs. Now, castor oil packs are excellent, not only for detoxing the liver, but for helping actually in reducing the size of the fibroid, bearing in mind that the size of the fibroid would affect how well the castor oil pack works, right? We want to add fiber to our diets. Fiber. So fiber would basically act as a sponge to sponge up these excess estrogens, all right? And our B vitamins as well are very important. So how can I help? So my approach is called the functional approach, all right? So every sign, symptom, or diagnosis that I just mentioned, so the bloating, the fibroid growing, the estrogen dominance, any sign, symptom, or diagnosis that you can think of is basically a downstream effect of an upstream issue. And if we're looking upstream, we actually want to figure out what is happening with the roots. So if you look at the diagram there, what is happening with the roots and how can we actually clear the muddy waters or address or shift that soil that we're seeing below there or the terrain in which these conditions exist. So as a certified functional nutrition counselor, I work in partnership with you to address the root causes of your health concerns so that you can begin to feel better in your body. We all want to feel better. We want to have more energy. We want to we just want to be our best selves, and we want to be the best version of ourselves. So in essence, what we want to do is to shift that terrain, that purple part, shift the terrain in which our symptoms exists. So the symptoms you spoke about, the fibroids, the hormonal imbalances, the irregular periods, the weight, the mood swings, everything. We want to shift that terrain so that your body becomes a place that is inhospitable for those symptoms to persist. Right? So does that make sense? So in essence, what we're doing, shifting the terrain actually nourishes the roots and it helps to heal the branches. So I'll say that again. Shifting the terrain, that purple part down below there, nourishes the roots and helps to heal the branches. All right? So what are these roots we're talking about? Because we're talking about root cause resolution, getting to the root cause of why these symptoms, signs, or diagnoses are popping up. What are those three roots? Those three roots are, and I like to give the analogy, the acronym DIG. If you're looking at the soil, we have to dig in the soil to get to the roots. So those three roots are D, digestion, I, inflammation, and 3, our genes, right? So with any sign, symptom, or diagnosis that is happening or that is presenting itself, there are always these 3 roots that must be addressed. So for digestion, we want to address the chemical, the mechanical, the structural, and the microbial components of digestion. So when we're looking at the chemical, we want to think of the enzymes that are involved in breaking down the food. If you're thinking mechanical, something as simple as chewing. Many of us don't chew our food. It's cut, yum, yum, swallow. That's how we do it, right? However, it would do us much good to mash that food up properly so that the chemicals can go to work on breaking apart that food a little further so that our bodies can absorb the nutrients that are derived from that food. If we're looking at structural, we look at all the different organs involved in the digestive process, our mouths, our stomachs, our large intestines, everything. And microbial, I don't know if the word microbiome is familiar to you all, but the microbiome basically is a collection of microorganisms. So we're thinking bacteria, yeast, fungi, parasites, protozoa, which exist in a harmonious state most times until or unless something upsets that delicate balance, right? And a hormonal imbalance can disrupt what is happening there, right? So we want to make sure that we keep our microbiome very happy. If we're looking at the inflammation route, we want to clear any inflammation that may be causing any issues. We want to calm it. We want to enhance any factors that need to be enhanced, and we want to modulate things. And if we're looking at the genes, and this is very, very important, we want to look at the epigenetic factors that actually turn on and off our genes. Now, many of us, if we look at our family histories, we would see that there's a history of different diseases which run in our families. However, it doesn't mean that you have to get a certain disease. If you control those epigenetic factors, and those epigenetic factors are the environment, movement, mindset, and food, if we control those things, then we are able to turn on and off genes, and the genes express themselves differently. So if we zone in a little bit on the environment, we spoke about those xenoestrogens in the environment, right? So we want to get rid of them or use alternatives, right? Alternatives, read labels, see how these things affect us, because many times they're going to be either ingesting these things advertently or inadvertently, or they're coming into contact with our skin somehow, right? So that's environmental. Movement, getting some exercise, moving the body, it helps with elimination, right? If we think of our hormones have to be made, they have to be transported, they have to be utilized, and they have to be excreted. And movement actually helps with the excretion process of these things, especially through pooping, basically, right? We also want to look at our mindset. What is our mindset around this entire thing? Are we positive? Are we Debbie Downers? What is our mindset around what is happening to us? And food. I just want to zone in on food a little bit. And when we're looking at food in helping to heal us, as part of the roots, we want to look at the quality of food that is coming in. We want to look at the quantity of food that we're eating. We want to look at the timing, and we want to look at diversity. So if I zone in just on the diversity of the food, we want to be eating like the rainbow. Our plates should represent a nice colorful presentation, right? It must be colorful so that we derive the maximum nutrients from our food. We want to also look at the quantity. Many times we eat too much to the point of being too full, and then we can't do anything with ourselves afterwards. We know what sets in after we have eaten too much, right? We all know what it is. We also want to look at the quality of our foods. Are we eating organic? Or are we just grabbing the best next thing to make our bellies full? We all know that everybody's situation is different, so we just do our best. And the timing. Do we eat because we're hungry, or do we eat because we're bored? You have to think of, when am I eating? Am I eating one meal a day? What am I doing? So all of those things would matter. So we're looking at where food is concerned, we're looking at the quality, the quantity, the timing, and the diversity of food. I always love to start with this non-negotiable trifecta as the foundation for healing any issue, regardless of what it is. And it's so, so simple. It's sleep, poop, and blood sugar balance. So if you were to look at how your day goes, are you sleeping, or are you sleeping at least 8 hours a night? We know that's not possible for some people because we have some people who work night. We have some with little ones, so that will mean that you're up in the night for different reasons. You know, sleep is so rejuvenating, and we can't underestimate how powerful it is. Even when we're sleeping, is your bedroom atmosphere conducive for sleep? Is it dark enough so that you don't have light peeping in through the curtains? Do we have electronic devices by our heads? Do we have a television screen that is in our faces while we sleep? All of these things affect how we sleep and how rejuvenative it will be. Poop is a non-negotiable. Are we going 1 to 3 times per day at least? At least once per day. Many times I ask people, how often do you go to the washroom? Oh, I go often. What is often? Once every 3 days. But you don't eat once every 3 days, right? So almost as often as you eat, you should be going to the washroom to eliminate. Remember, our estrogens, if they are not, they have to be made, transported, utilized, and excreted. And if we are constipated, then we have an issue with its excretion. So we want to ensure that we are pooping, something as simple as that. And blood sugar balance. Now, even in the absence of a blood sugar monitor, right? Even without measuring or pricking your finger every day, there's another non-negotiable trifecta that I always love to say would balance your blood sugar, right? So, and it's as I said, it's non-negotiable. So, in order to balance your blood sugar, and you can write this down, we need to have fat, fiber, and protein at every meal, right? So that is fat, fiber, and protein. So if you look at your plate, in addition to it being the color of the rainbow, lots of colors, right? You want to have some fat in there, you want to have some fiber, and you want to have some protein. And those things would undoubtedly balance that blood sugar and bring blood sugar balance. Very, very, very important, right? So sleep, poop, blood sugar balance, non-negotiable trifecta number 1. And for blood sugar balance, non-negotiable trifecta number 2 is fat, fiber, and protein. So why, if you're looking at the digestion, the root number 1, what is the role of the gut in gut health in fibroid formation? Gut health matters because it regulates estrogen. We know that it's an estrogen dominant state. It regulates it via the estrobolome. So I mentioned the microbiome, right? Microbiome, pardon. The estrobolome is actually a collection of bacterial genes within that microbiome that encodes enzymes which are capable of metabolizing that estrogen. So you want to ensure that we keep our bugs happy so that they keep us happy, basically. Again, as I said, if we're not eliminating, if we're constipated and we're not pooping, as I mentioned, the non-negotiable trifecta of which poop is very, very important, is one of them. If you're not pooping, then you have that estrogen recirculating. Our hormones have to be made, transported, utilized, and excreted. So if they're not being excreted, they're being recirculated. If we have a leaky gut, then that could cause inflammatory conditions, and then we could have hormonal chaos. All right? So that too is an issue. So you may ask, when should we focus on the gut? You should focus on the gut now, because it affects everything. As I said before, the gut affects every other major system in the body, your urinary system, your reproductive system, your cardiovascular system, your hormonal system. It affects everything. So we want to ensure that we keep our guts happy. So something to look at is the hormone hierarchy. So if you look at the very bottom, the blood sugar regulation is at the very bottom, right? But first, we must fix our gut issues. And stress, we mentioned stress before and how it affects the formation of fibroids. So we want to ensure that our blood sugar, right, non-negotiable trifecta, fat, fiber, protein, that it makes sure that it is regulated, right? Because the cascade goes up from there, right? It affects insulin, and the insulin affects the adrenals, it affects the thyroid, and then it affects the sex hormones last. So if you're seeing an imbalance in your sex hormones, and we're looking down the triangle of the pyramid, we know that we must fix blood sugar first. All right? Very, very important. All right, so what action can you take today? First of all, you want to track your cycle on your symptoms. What is happening, right? Am I bleeding a lot during my periods? Am I even having a regular cycle? What symptoms do I have? Track, track, track. When you become a detective of your own body, then you become an advocate for yourself, all right? You want to begin also one gut healing habit this week. You can think of, based on what I presented today, there's several things you can do. And something very, very simple is the non-negotiable trifecta, right? Make sure you're sleeping, make sure you're pooping, and make sure that your blood sugar is in balance, right? And if you want to know more, you can always book a strategy session with me. All right? And here's how you do it. I hope the QR code is showing up there, right? So for those of you who would like to book a strategy session, it's a complimentary session, so you can have an idea of how I work. I think I gave you just a sneak peek of how I work, right? So you could book a strategy session and we can sit down and can talk about exactly what is happening with you. So this is a complimentary 15 to 20 minute session. We'll talk about how I work and then what your next best steps would be. All right? Does everybody have the QR code? I'll leave it up for a few more seconds. But this is basically the end of the session. I just wanted to thank you all very much for being a very attentive audience, and thank you for having me present this afternoon on fibroids and fibroid awareness. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Melissa. Thank you. Thank you. Always gracious, always gentle,
Thank you so much. You're
always
welcome.
informative. Right. You can stop sharing the screen now. And we will essentially enter into our Q&A. I know we had a few questions in the chat already, so we can start there. One of the first questions had to do with castor oil packs. The question was, what is a castor oil pack? And the second question referenced you mentioning herbs and herbs that can be used, right? Now we know herbal medicine, it's really, it's through our lineage, and it happens, right. Using herbs, you know, it's part of who we are. But of course, just now, but of course, everything should be guided, right?
Correct.
So, question, castor oil pack. What is a castor oil pack? The other question had to do with herbs and the types of herbs that can be used. And then another one of our guests have asked if it's possible to receive a copy of your presentation and if you offer online consults. But I guess this question came before you shared the QR code with the free consultation that you've offered
Right.
to our guests this evening. And someone is asking to see the QR code again.
All right.
Right?
No problem. Let me work this technology. Let me see. I will put up the QR code in a moment, but can I
Yes,
just
but you could go to the questions. Yeah, sure.
all right. So basically a castor oil pack is you can make it yourself. It's a piece, you can use some type of flannel material, right? And it's you soak it with castor oil and you put it over the liver area to help with detox. You can sleep with it overnight, right? Bearing in mind that castor oil could stain. So you want to sleep in pajamas that you would probably not use um for whatever use for whatever reason, right? An old pair of pajamas basically, right? So you soak the flannel, right? You put it over the liver area, or depending on the size of your fibroids. Now, it depends, right? It can be put on the womb area to help with with um with just helping them shrink eventually, right? The size does depend though. It does depend. And this castor oil also can be warmed, right? So you warm it a bit, put it onto the flannel material, put it over the liver to help with detox, and it could be put on the womb area as well, right? So that is the castor oil pack. Or if you don't have any old flannel material or an old jersey, what you can do is just rub the castor oil on and have it absorb, have the body absorb the castor oil. So that is the castor oil pack. Herbs. There's
Someone asked as well on the castor oil whether
Hmm.
it can be put into the navel, the oil.
Some people put it there as well. They do traditionally put it there, so you can put it
That's
there.
an option. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
But everything depends. You're welcome. It all depends. So as I said, for me, everybody's bio-individual. So
Right.
giving a blanket prescription would not be
Mhm,
responsible. So if I say, for example, where the herbs are concerned, it's not a
mhm.
one size fit all, right? So
Right.
depending on their unique situation, when we consult, right, and we go through my process, then I'd be able to recommend what herbs can be used. But just for general knowledge, there's one called Vitex, an herb that is used for helping to rebalance the hormones, right? But it's an individual sort of situation, not one size fits all. Everybody is different. And the reasons for which one person would have developed fibroids is different from another. So if we look at the three roots again, it could be as an issue with any of those three roots, the digestion, the inflammation, or genes. So we have to get to the root cause of why it's coming up in the first place, and then I address it accordingly. I hope that was helpful.
Is there a specific type of castor oil to be used, the best in terms of organic, cold press, that kind of thing? What is your advice in that regard?
Cold pressed, better. Cold pressed
Right.
remember, because it's going onto your skin.
That's right.
Yeah, so you want to be very discerning. And we spoke about toxic load, right? So organic as best as possible. Even if you want to get really, really technical, if it comes in a dark glass bottle, even better, right? But just read the label. It should be organic, right? Best if organic, and yeah, we could use it from there. The third question was a copy of my presentation. Now, I usually don't give out my presentations because there's so much I talk around, right? This is actually my proprietary process. So unfortunately, I would not be giving out the presentation. However, if you would like to speak one-on-one on what is occurring with you specifically, then we can have that conversation.
No problem. Thank you so much,
You're very
Melissa. We
welcome.
actually had someone who was able to capture the QR code.
Good.
It's in the chat, so you can check the chat to do the scanning there to get on the list to do your complimentary first conversation with Melissa. And we also have someone sharing in the chat as well that she doesn't have a question, but she does want to share what has worked for her as she's awaiting scheduling surgery because of how large the fibroids have become. But because of how large it became and the kind of debilitating pain that she was experiencing, she found a tea that worked for her that comprises of turmeric root, cinnamon, cloves, and black pepper. She's not a doctor, neither are we, and so she's making the disclaimer. And I think this actually applies to what you just shared, Melissa, as it relates to fibroids and treating with fibroids not being a one-stop shop for everyone.
Correct.
Because as you shared, the issue for one person will vary for another person, right? Or it could be a combination of all in one person. And so because just as unique as we are, as you know, our fingerprints are unique, so are the things that affect and impact the body. And I think fibroids definitely falls into that category. And so what works excellently for one person may not have the exact impact on another, right? But
Definitely.
thank you for sharing that, Miss Bastien.
Thank you for sharing. I'll just interject very quickly. If we're looking at thank you so much, Miss Bastien. And if we're looking at the 3 roots, right? Inflammation is one of those roots. So in terms of calming the inflammation, the turmeric, the ginger, the black pepper are anti-inflammatory agents. So they would help to calm those yeah.
Yes, because I know turmeric really works well for inflammation. The black pepper activates it, and I think she mentioned either clove
or ginger.
cinnamon. Yeah,
right.
So those definitely
they would.
I know for sure, yeah. As it relates to calming. All right. So are there any specific types of fiber that we should be using? I'm asking because I spoke with a dietitian once who was advising me on foods to reduce inflammation. And she mentioned that I shouldn't necessarily be using sweet potatoes, which I used to eat very often, because it may not be effective in reducing inflammation, even though it is a great source of fiber.
Okay. So when we're thinking fiber, we're thinking the rainbow again. So in terms of vegetables, so that's where the fiber, that's where the fibrous component of the food would come from. So if we're thinking cabbage, whether it's yellow cabbage or red cabbage, if we're thinking what else, bhaji, green, right? Those types of things, callaloo, right? Those are that's the type of fiber that you want to bring into the diet. You also have the soluble fibers, which will come from your legumes, right? So insoluble fibers would be those types of vegetables, those hearty vegetables. Think the rainbow, right? And any vegetable that you can get your hand on that we grow here or that we can get in the supermarket. That's what you want to be thinking. The sweet potato is a complex starch. Yes, there is some fiber in it. However, there's sugar in it as well. They all break down to sugar in any case, right? Once they can be digested by those microorganisms, right? So that is what we're looking at. Eat the rainbow to get that fiber. You include your legumes and your beans as well to have some fiber as well, and more complex starches. Not too much of it though. Everybody's different. Yeah. Hope that was helpful. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. I'm not sure if we have any other questions to the ladies who are online. I think we peaked at about 30 this evening, so I am extremely grateful. As you know, we continue this very important work. I really do not count it by chance that we are here at this time this evening, all of us who are online. I believe that this information will be very, very important in just transforming mindsets, right? Yes, at Fibroid Awareness, Trinidad and Tobago, we try to provide a really holistic perspective, right? Yes, lifestyle change is important, but then you may have a case where surgical intervention supported by lifestyle change, or that combination can be the perfect outcome for an individual. It is always scary to think about surgical intervention. It's always scary to think about major surgery, right? But for us, information is what is important. And when you have information, you are better able to make an informed decision, right? You won't just take everything as gospel, even from quote unquote medical professionals, right? You know your body as well. So before we wrap up, I noticed another question came in from Colette. Thank you for your question. She asked about oats and fibroids, yay or nay? That's how she put it across.
My response would be, it depends. It depends.
Right.
Everybody, some people may be able to tolerate oats. Oats come in different forms. We have the quick oats, we have rolled oats, you have what other rolled steel cut oats. It all depends on how your body tolerates oats. So for somebody, it may be excellent. For somebody else, especially if it was grown in a field with wheat, it may not be so good. So it all depends. Everybody's bio-individual. So you be your own detective. See how oats works for you. And if you can tolerate it, then by all means, good source of fiber.
Yes. All right. Thank you. She says, thank you, Melissa.
You're welcome.
And thank you for interacting with us, Colette. So yes, that's where it's at, ladies. One more comment for you, Melissa. Great presentation. Thank you. And she's also thanking Fibroid TT for providing the platform. Yeah, this is the work. We've been quiet for some time, but it's not new to us, and we will be continuing the work because the information is out there. She's asked, one person is asking if you're on social media. If you're well, I should say active if you're on social media, Melissa.
Yes, I am. Actually, I think my last slide would have shown, I didn't show the very last slide. So is it possible? Let me see.
Yes, you could just share the screen once more to get to your closing slide so that persons can find you.
Oh, is my closing slide there? Let me see if I have it. All right. You know what? Let's see. Yes. Is it? Let me share. How do I share this?
If you're having a challenge, I could share the document I have as well.
Let me see. Do you have just a second? Do you have the share? Do I have permission to share? Where is that?
It should be at the bottom where you may see participants, mute, reactions. There should be a share arrow somewhere there.
Oh,
have you found it?
I think I have. Is it there? Can you see it? Is it there?
Yes, we're seeing it.
So we're seeing the website. It's namakaihealth.com.
Yes. Right.
And you can be connected to you from there. Correct.
And you can the same Namakai Health on Facebook as well.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's www.namakai, NAMARKAI health.com, the same name via Facebook.
Yes.
All right, beautiful. So, Melissa, thank you for your willingness to come and share with us this evening. And thank you as well, for offering your time so graciously. I am definitely looking forward. I hope persons who do take advantage of the opportunity for the free consult, that they please indicate it was through Fibroid TT so that we could do the tracking, of course.
Yes.
And then we just encourage you all to stay connected to Fibroid Awareness Trinidad and Tobago, Fibroid TT. We remain committed to empowering through information, education, and awareness. Of course, advocacy and support. Fibroid Awareness Month 2025 continues. We have an in-person session at the Scarborough Library on July 22nd. It's in the Activity Center. I need to reiterate, as we've done online and some of our appearances, to please be on time. The library closes to the public at 6 p.m. daily. And so if you come to the library at 6:01 p.m., you will not be able to get into the library. We'll be in there, but you will not be able to get in, right? And then, of course, we close with our free clinic on August 3rd. That's how we wrap up the month. All right. So look out for the information so that you can register and be pre-assessed to confirm whether you have qualified, because we'll be doing free ultrasounds, free consultations, and we will be in Black Rock on August 3rd. That's adjacent to the community center. It would be at Dr. Alimayu Chadban's office. The name of his business is Optimal Health Services Limited. Just as you enter Black Rock, if you are coming from the western side, so you're coming from Mount Irving, that side, it's on the right-hand side, just as you enter the community of Black Rock, so you can't miss it. All right, so we'll see you again on the 22nd. Then we'll be in person again on the 3rd of August. And just stay connected via all the social media platforms that we are on: Facebook, Instagram. We have our website, which is ttconfidenceproject.org. We are also on LinkedIn, and we will also be sharing, informational tidbits. 22nd for the session at the library, and August 3rd is how we wrap up our month of activities in Black Rock. So it's the 22nd, July 22nd. That will be with Dr. Chantel Winchester Sampson, or Dr. Win, as she's known on social media. Yeah. And Makeda, I noticed your question or comment or suggestion as it relates to a WhatsApp group so that we can stay connected. I'll look into it. I'll poll and see, because I know persons are so wary of WhatsApp groups, but we'll definitely look into it. So Bonaccord is no longer the location. It is definitely at the Scarborough Library, the Activity Center in the Scarborough Library on the 22nd, and then in Black Rock on August 3rd. On the 22nd, we start at 5:30. And in Black Rock, we will be there from 12 noon. So you could get in your church if you go to church on a Sunday, and then you can come and check us after. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, I think we have one gentleman on this evening. Thank you for your time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And, just continue to stay connected, continue to keep a positive mindset. Do not be afraid of information. And we at Fibroid Awareness Trinidad and Tobago, we remain available to serve through our advocacy, our awareness, and our support. So look out, and we'll be in touch. Thanks, everyone, and have a blessed evening.
Thank you so much again. Everybody take care.
Good evening, and thank you.
You're welcome.